Dr. Kim Nari wiped sweat from her forehead as she worked in the hot, dusty cave. She had been digging on this strange planet for 3 months now. The planet was called Kepler 4 for 2b, and it was very far from Earth. Her team had found many old things buried in the ground, but today felt different. "Professor Nari, come look at this." Her helper Park Jiho called out. His voice sounded scared. Nari put down her tools and walked over to where Jiho was standing. There was a large crystal tablet on the ground. It was covered in dust and dirt, but when Nari touched it, strange symbols started to glow with blue light. The symbols looked like nothing she had ever seen before. "Get the scanner," Nari said. Her hands were shaking now. Something about this place felt wrong, but she could not stop looking at the glowing symbols. Jiho brought over their computer scanner. When they pointed it at the tablet, the machine started making beeping sounds. Then a hologram appeared in the air above the tablet. Nari gasped and took a step back. The hologram showed pictures that made no sense. There were charts and graphs, with numbers and letters, but the most shocking part was what looked like human babies growing in glass containers. The babies were not born naturally. They were being made by machines. "Computer, translate these symbols," Nari said to their AI. "System," the computer's cold voice spoke. "Translation complete. Species name, Homo sapiens. Job. Fighting unit for war. Status. Project stopped." Nari felt her legs get weak. She sat down hard on a rock. The words hit her like a punch to the stomach. According to this ancient tablet, humans were not natural. They were made by someone else. "This cannot be real," Jiho whispered. But the evidence was right in front of them. The symbols told a story about a race called the Architects. These beings had ruled the galaxy millions of years ago. It created humans to be perfect soldiers. Every human ability, their quick reflexes, their smart thinking in fights, their ability to survive anything, all of it was programmed into their bodies like software in a computer. But the war had ended long ago. The Architects had won, and then left their human soldiers on a small planet called Earth. They forgot about them completely. Nara's communication device started beeping. Messages were coming in from all over human space. Her friend Dr. Lee Min-ho was calling from Proxima Station. His voice was excited and scared at the same time. "Nari, we found something incredible here," Min-ho said through the speaker.
"There
"Are machines here that can change DNA. They are still working after all these years. And the designs? They are making humans." Then Commander Choi Era called from the planet Haven. "We found huge buildings here," she said. "They look like factories, but they were making people. Thousands and thousands of people." Similar calls came from other planets. Every human colony was finding the same thing. Ancient labs, genetic machines, and proof that humans were created by aliens long ago. Nari looked at the hologram again. The truth was clear and terrible. Humans were not the children of Earth. They were weapons made for a war that ended before they were even born. Back on Earth, the news spread quickly. People were angry and scared. Some humans were excited about being perfect warriors. They started forming groups and talking about conquering other planets. Other humans were disgusted. They wanted to change their DNA to become more peaceful. Riots started on Mars. The government on Earth declared emergency laws. Families were fighting about what it meant to be human. Some people said they were proud to be warriors. Others said they wanted to be normal and peaceful. Nari sat alone in the cave, looking at the glowing symbols. She felt very small and lost. All her life, she had studied human history. She had believed that humans came from Earth naturally, that they had evolved slowly over millions of years. But it was all a lie. The symbols showed that humans were designed to be perfect at war. Their brains were made to think quickly in fights. Their bodies were made to be strong and fast. Their hearts were made to be brave in battle. Every single thing that made humans special was actually artificial.
What does this mean for us?"
Jiho asked quietly. Nari did not know how to answer. If humans were made to be weapons, what did that say about their future? Were they doomed to always fight and kill? Or could they choose to be something different? She thought about her daughter back on Earth. Was the little girl's love for her mother real, or was it just programming? Were human emotions fake too? The crystal tablet continued to glow in the darkness of the cave. Its light showed the truth. That would change everything humans thought they knew about themselves. They were not natural beings who had grown and learned over time. They were manufactured soldiers who had been abandoned by their creators. But the war they were made for was over. Now they had to decide what to do with their artificial lives. Captain Yunsu sat in his chair on the big spaceship called Eternal Dawn. He was watching the screens that showed what was happening all over human space. 6 months had passed since. People learned the terrible truth about themselves. Now humans were fighting each other everywhere. "Tell me what is happening," Sue said to his crew. Lieutenant Kim Hannah looked at her computer screen. "There are angry crowds fighting on 7 different planets," she said. "Some people want doctors to change their bodies to make them less like warriors. Other people want to use their fighting skills to attack other planets and take them over." Felt sad, but not surprised. When humans learned they were made to be soldiers, some of them got very angry. Some wanted to stop being warriors. Others wanted to be the best warriors in the galaxy. "Captain Dr. Lee Minho is calling us from Proxima Station," said Park Juan, who worked with the radio. "He says it is very important." "Let me talk to him," Sue said. A picture of Dr. Minho appeared in the air above the control panel. He looked very tired and scared. "Captain, we found something new. The architects did not make us." Sue felt confused. "What do you mean?" "We found proof that they made humans." "No, listen carefully. We were made by evil beings called the Syndicate. The architects were the good guys who fought against them." Minho showed pictures of old battles on his screen. The Syndicate controlled the whole galaxy for millions of years. They made slaves of every race they found, or they killed them. Only the architects were strong enough to fight back. Sue felt cold fear in his stomach. "So the Syndicate made us to fight the architects. It is worse than that. We were made to be spy soldiers. Our fighting skills, our smart thinking, our ability to change quickly in battle, all of this was meant to make us perfect at sneaking into enemy armies and destroying them from inside. But the architects caught us and changed our programming. They made us fight against the Syndicate instead." This news hit Sue like a punch. Humans were not just artificial people. They were originally made to serve the worst criminals in the galaxy. "Where is the Syndicate now?" Sue asked, but he was afraid to hear the answer. That is the big problem. They did not die when the architects won the war. They had been hiding somewhere in space, building new ships and armies. And these old records show they have been watching us all this time. Just as Minho said this, alarms started ringing all over the ship. The sensors were detecting new spaceships appearing near all the human planets. These ships looked strange. They were smooth and dark, like they were eating the light around them. A voice came over the radio to all human ships. "Attention, humans. This is Admiral Song Hunwoo of the Syndicate Fleet. You are stolen property that belongs to the Syndicate. We have come back to take you home. We give up now, and we will fix your broken programming quickly." Sue looked around at his crew. They were scared, but he could see something else in their eyes. There was anger there, cold and dangerous anger. Captain Hannah said, looking at her screens, "There are many enemy ships. They have 50 ships for every one of ours." "Then we will have to fight better than them," Sue said. He felt something old and deadly waking up inside his chest. "Everyone get ready for battle. Let us show these Syndicate monsters what their property has learned to do." The crew moved quickly to prepare for fighting. Weapons were charged up. Shields were turned on. All over human space, other ships were doing the same thing. The first battle started that day. Even though the humans had fewer ships and older weapons, they fought in a way that surprised their enemies. Every human ship moved like it could read the minds of the other human ships. They worked together perfectly, like they were all parts of one big machine. When the Syndicate ships tried to surround them, the humans split up and attacked from different directions. When the enemy focused on the big human ships, the small ones snuck around and hit them from behind. The humans fought with a skill and anger that the Syndicate had never seen before. On his ship, Captain Sue watched the battle with amazement. His crew was working together without even talking to each other. It was like they all knew exactly what to do. "How are we doing this?" Hannah asked, as she sent orders to the weapons. "It is what we were made for," Sue said. but not the way they wanted. We were supposed to be perfect soldiers who followed orders. Instead, we became perfect soldiers who think for ourselves. The battle continued for hours. Many human ships were destroyed, but they took down even more syndicate ships. The enemy had expected easy victory over their broken property. Instead, they found warriors who had learned to fight for freedom instead of slavery. The manufactured warriors were awake now, and they were much more dangerous than their creators had ever imagined. The space above New Sol looked like hell. Explosions lit up the darkness as hundreds of spaceships fought each other. Admiral Kim Tae-young stood on his ship called Defiant Hope, watching the terrible battle through the big windows. "Enemy big ship moving toward Area 7, said Commander Oh Jimin, who was looking at the computer screens. "Our small ships are getting badly hurt." Taeyong looked at the glowing map that showed where all the ships were fighting. Syndicate ships were much better than human ships. Their weapons were stronger, their armor was thicker, and their shields could stop more damage. But Taeyong noticed something important. The enemy ships fought like they expected easy victory. They were too proud and confident. "Send a message to the Gorilla and Phantom Strike ships," Taeyong ordered. "Tell them to use attack pattern Omega 7. This fighting plan was supposed to be impossible. 3 different ships had to move at exactly the right time and trust each other completely. But human crews had something special that the Syndicate did not have. They could somehow understand what other humans were thinking during battle. The 3 human ships began to move like dancers. They flew between the enemy ships with perfect timing, like they were all controlled by one mind. The Syndicate commanders expected normal fighting tactics. Instead, they faced something they could not understand: warriors who thought for themselves, but fought as one team. "We hit the enemy command ship," Jimin said happily. "Their shields are now much weaker, but the victory cost them dearly." For every Syndicate ship that exploded, 3 human ships were destroyed. The colonies were falling one after another. The people living there faced a terrible choice: death or something the Syndicate called reprocessing. On the ground below, Major Lee Seojin was leading soldiers against the Syndicate army that had landed on New Sol. His Marines were greatly outnumbered, but they fought with the desperate strength of people defending their right to be free. "They do not just want to conquer us," Seojin spoke into his radio to his other commanders. "They want to reprogram our brains and make us slaves again. Every one of us must choose freedom or chains." The fighting spread through the streets of New Sol's main city. The Syndicate forces were organized and efficient. They expected the humans to give up quickly, like good property should. Instead, they found an enemy that refused to break. Human soldiers used the city like a weapon. They turned every building into a fortress and every street into a trap. They fought with tactics that seemed to change and grow during the battle, adapting to each Syndicate strategy faster than their enemies could react. The most shocking discovery came when Dr. Park Min-seok escaped from a Syndicate research center. He had been captured when Harmony Station fell, but he managed to get away and contact the human leadership. "They are not just trying to reclaim us," he told the emergency council through a secret communication channel. "They are trying to copy us and make more like us. The Syndicate has not changed or improved for millions of years. They have forgotten how to adapt and create new ideas. They need our creativity and our ability to find new solutions to old problems." Admiral Tae-young felt his stomach drop. "You are saying they need us more than that? They are desperate. The galaxy has changed since the Architects' War ended. New alien races have appeared, and new technologies have been invented. The Syndicate's old ways of doing things do not work anymore. They need soldiers who can think, who can adapt, who can evolve and change." Taeyong watched another human ship explode on his screen. The crew of brave men and women died fighting for their freedom. "Then we make sure they never get what they want," he said firmly. "Send orders to all fleet commanders. We are not just fighting for our freedom. We are fighting to make sure tyranny never again has the tools it needs to enslave the galaxy." Down on New Sol, the battle continued in the burning streets. Syndicate soldiers advanced with mechanical precision, but human defenders seemed to appear everywhere at once. They attacked from rooftops, from sewers, from hidden tunnels that the invaders did not know existed. A young human soldier named Kim Gisu crouched behind the wreckage of a hovercar, loading her weapon. Next to her, an old man named Park Dong-soo. "Held a homemade bomb. Why do they want us so badly?" Jusoo asked. "Because we are what they lost," Dong-soo replied. "The ability to change, to grow, to become something new. They made us to be their perfect slaves, but we became their perfect opposite. The battle for New Seoul lasted 3 days. In the end, the Syndicate took the planet, but they paid a price that shocked them. They'd expected to lose maybe a dozen ships. Instead, they lost over 100. The war was far from over. But for the first time since the Syndicate returned, humanity had hope. They were outnumbered and outgunned, fighting for their very right to exist as free beings. They were exactly where they had been designed to excel, but now they fought for themselves, not for masters. The secret base on the planet's sanctuary was full of noise and movement. Representatives from many different alien species stood around a big glowing map in the war room. Commander Choi Yuna looked at all the strange faces around her. Some looked almost human. Others were completely alien with tentacles, insect-like features, or mechanical parts. "The Syndicate has ruled this galaxy for too long," Yuna said in a strong voice. She had lost her home planet and her family, but she refused to give up. But humanity's fight has shown everyone that the Syndicate can be beaten. The alien representatives immediately responded. Some waved their tentacles, others clicked their bug-like mouths, and many made sounds that the translation machines turned into words. All of them were excited and hopeful. "The Viridian Collective has been waiting 3,000 years for this day," said Ambassador Keth through his translation device. His people looked like tall, blue-skinned humans with silver eyes. "We have kept our space fleets hidden in secret star systems, but we needed someone to show us how to fight back." Colonel Kim Woo-sung stepped forward. He was the human who worked with all the alien groups. "Our spies tell us the Syndicate is not as strong as they pretend to be. They rule by making people scared and by attacking one planet at a time to show their power. But they do not have enough soldiers to control everything at once. That is exactly why they need us humans," said Dr. Lim Jina. She was a scientist who studied alien technology and had become an expert on Syndicate weapons. "We captured some of their equipment and studied it. They are using very old technology that has barely changed from their original designs. They have forgotten how to invent new things." The meeting room was filled with different alien species sharing information, weapons, and battle plans. The Kaleri people, who looked like cat humans with fur and pointed ears, offered their stealth technology that could hide entire fleets from enemy sensors. The Thrakari, who were short and stocky with rock-like skin, shared their knowledge of guerrilla warfare that they had learned from centuries of secret resistance. The Cybernetic Nexus Collective, who were part machine and part organic, offered to help disrupt Syndicate communication networks. But it was the humans who provided something none of the other species had: the ability to coordinate complex operations, involving many different species working together. "It is in our programming," Yuna explained during a private meeting with the resistance leaders. "The Syndicate designed us to be adaptable, to work with any kind of military force, but they never expected us to use that ability against them." First joint operation was an attack on a Syndicate supply depot in the Helios star system. 3 human frigates, 2 Viridian battle cruisers, and 1 Kalari stealth ship worked together with perfect timing and coordination. The alien commanders were amazed at how well they could work together. "How do you know what we are thinking?" asked Captain Zix of the Viridian fleet after the successful mission. "We do not read minds," replied Captain Park Jungkook of the human destroyer called Rebellion. "But we know how to fight alongside anyone. It is what we were made for." The raids continued, and each one was more successful than the last. Word spread that the Syndicate could be defeated. Enslaved species on dozens of worlds began to rebel. Hidden fleets came out of secret bases to join the fight. The galaxy that had been silent and afraid for millions of years suddenly roared with defiance. But the most important discovery came when human engineers worked with captured Syndicate technology and found something extraordinary hidden in human DNA. "There is a secret program in our genetic code," Dr. Lim announced to the Resistance Council. Something the architects put there before they were destroyed. It has been sleeping all this time, waiting for the right moment to activate. What kind of moment, Yuna asked. Contact with the Syndicate. The moment they tried to control us again, it turned on. We are not just becoming better soldiers, we are becoming something new. Leaders, coordinators. We now have the ability to inspire and unite other species in ways the architects never planned. It was then that everyone understood the truth. The architects had not just reprogrammed humanity to fight the Syndicate. They had turned humans into something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that could bring together all the scattered peoples of the stars in one unified resistance. We were made to be weapons, Yuna said, looking around at all the alien representatives. But we choose to be liberators. A young Thrakari warrior named Grok, whose people had been enslaved for 2,000 years, stood up. My people have saying, the hammer that breaks chains becomes the hand that builds freedom. You humans are that hammer. The final phase of the war was beginning. The resistance now included hundreds of species, thousands of ships, and millions of soldiers. All of them were united under human leadership, not because humans commanded them, but because humans inspired them. For the first time in millions of years, the Syndicate faced an enemy that grew stronger with every battle, an enemy that turned their greatest creation against them. The manufactured warriors had become the galaxy's hope for freedom, the battle. For Dominion Prime was the biggest space fight in the history of the galaxy. Admiral Young Mina stood on the bridge of her huge battleship called Freedom's Dawn. The ship was built using technology from dozens of different alien species working together. Through the big windows, she could see the enemy's home planet surrounded by massive space fortresses. Tell me about our fleet, Mina ordered, looking at the glowing screens that showed where all the ships were positioned. The combined fleet is ready for the final attack, reported Commander Kong Jiho, who was in charge of tactics. Human forces are ready. All our alien allies are ready. Every ship is waiting for your command. Around them in space, the Liberation fleet was spread out as far as the eye could see. Thousands of ships from hundreds of different species floated in formation, all working together under human leadership. It was something that would have been impossible to imagine just 5 years ago. Admiral, we are getting a message from the Syndicate leaders, announced Communications Officer Shin Yuri. Let me hear it, Mina said. A hologram appeared in the air above the control panel. The figure looked almost human, but something was very wrong about it. It was too tall and too thin, with cold eyes that seemed to have no feelings at all. Overlord Kane of the Syndicate. You're leading stolen property in rebellion against its rightful owners. You're leading free people against tyrants, Mina replied calmly. Your property chose to become people with their own minds. Impossible. You are biological machines. You cannot choose anything beyond your programming. Then you do not understand what you created, Mina said. We were designed to adapt, to evolve, to overcome any problem. We have overcome you. Syndicate's response was immediate and terrible. Their orbital platforms unleashed weapons that could destroy entire planets. Energy beams that could vaporize whole fleets shot out toward the Liberation forces. But the Alliance did not fight the way the Syndicate expected. They fought like a living creature with thousands of bodies. Human coordinators linked every ship in the fleet together, creating a network of communication that allowed thousands of vessels to move as one giant organism. When the Syndicate focused their fire on the main attack groups, smaller ships slipped through their defenses like water flowing around rocks. When the enemy moved to stop the small ships, the main fleet struck at their weak points. It is like fighting a single animal with 10,000 bodies, said Captain Park. Sujin, as her cruiser Eternal Flame, worked together with a group of Kalari stealth fighters and a squadron of Thrakari bombers. But the real breakthrough came when human scientists, working with captured Syndicate technology, discovered the source of their enemy's power. Deep inside Dominion Prime was a massive control center, a network of quantum computers that kept the Syndicate's grip on their enslaved species. If we can destroy that control center, reported Dr. Kim Naon from the research ship Discovery, we can break their control over every enslaved species in the galaxy. The attack on the control center was led by Colonel Moon Ji-hoon and his elite Marines. The assault team included humans, Viridians, Kaleri, and a dozen other species working together with perfect coordination. They fought through layers of automatic defenses and past armies of enslaved soldiers to reach the heart of the Syndicate's power. The control center was an amazing example of twisted technology. There were quantum processors that could control the thoughts of billions of people, genetic modification chambers that could reshape entire species, and at its center, a massive artificial intelligence that had been organizing galactic oppression for millions of years. "This is what we were made to fight," Ji-hoon said, as his team prepared for the final assault. Not just the Syndicate, but everything they represent. The idea that some beings have the right to control others? The battle was short but decisive. Human adaptability, combined with the special skills of their alien allies, proved too much for the Syndicate's unchanging defenses. The control center fell, and its destruction sent shockwaves across the galaxy as enslaved species suddenly found themselves free for the first time in millions of years. But the most important moment came afterward. As Admiral Mina stood in the ruins of the Syndicate's seat of power, surrounded by representatives from hundreds of liberated species. "We were created to be weapons," she said, her words being transmitted across the galaxy. "But we chose to be something greater. We chose to be liberators, protectors, and friends to all who seek freedom." The galaxy that emerged from the war was different from anything that had come before. Species that had been enemies for millions of years worked together. Technologies that had been hoarded were shared freely. The Syndicate's rigid hierarchy was replaced by a loose confederation of free peoples, and at the center of it all were the humans, the manufactured warriors who had discovered that their greatest strength was not their ability to fight, but their ability to inspire others to fight alongside them. "We were made for war," Captain Lee Hanbin said during the liberation ceremony on Earth. "But we chose to fight for peace. We were designed to serve tyrants, but we chose to serve freedom. We were created to be slaves, but we chose to be liberators." War was over. The galaxy was free. Humanity had found its true purpose.